Sup, y'all? It's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about the Legion developer update. Now, this happened yesterday on Twitch, and it was basically an interview between Jesse Cox, who's a pretty well-known content creator here on YouTube, but he's also known in the Warcraft community. Did the live Q&A for BlizzCon last year, and he interviewed Ian Hazzikostas, who I'm sure a lot of you guys know is one of the lead game designers for World of Warcraft. Now, obviously, based on the name, the focus on this interview slash update slash, let's be real, commercial was Legion, but they did touch on a few other things that a lot of people did want to hear about, mostly legacy servers, not as much as the chat wanted them to, but they did mention it, and then also talked a little bit about the leveling experience, kind of how it's changed over the years, and how it's not really quite as good as it could be. And so I wanted to talk about, I was very glad about that, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit about that as well. But what I wanted to do in this video mostly is give you kind of a summary of what the update was all about, kind of what I really kind of took away from it, and then also at the end of the video talk a little bit about some of the meta things that weren't really necessarily about any specific thing that was said in the interview, but just the interview in general. So anyway, guys, the first thing that they said was something that I was very much expecting, very excited for, but it was also a little bit bittersweet, which is the fact that they are closing, they're not closing, they closed the alpha servers, the Legion alpha servers, they closed them while I was asleep. I didn't even get a chance to say goodbye to all my wonderful friends I've made in Swagdonald's. A little bit upset about that, but it's okay, because on Thursday at 2 p.m., the Legion beta servers will open and people will be able to play on the Legion beta. So make sure to check your email, check your Battle.net account to see if you actually got the invite for the Legion beta. And if you did, make sure to send me a tell on the first day so I can get you into the guild, and we'll get everything rolling, get everybody up to 110, get you guys gear, everything else like that. It's going to be a really, really good time, and I'm really, really looking forward to it. But it's a little bit disappointing that Ian killed Swagdonald's. Anyway, next thing that they talked about was the order halls versus garrisons. I think that a lot of people know about the whole controversy. Are order halls garrisons 2.0? Twitch chat thought they were. Big surprise. But anyway, Ian obviously said that they weren't. In some ways I think this is true. In some ways I think that it's not. He did try to draw a contrast between the way that we receive raid gear from the garrison missions right now in Wars of Draenor, and contrast that with how we're going to receive raid gear from the follower missions in Legion. So in Warlords of Draenor right now, you have to get your followers leveled up and, get them to do all this, get them good gear, get them to 100, get them epic, so they can, stop all the different threats. And you send your followers out on this mission, and then the mission is completed and it gives you a piece of gear, right? And so, okay, that's not what a lot of people want. So in Legion, what you have to do is you send your followers out on a mission, and they complete that mission, and that mission then gives you a quest, and that quest sends you out to the raid, and then you do something in a raid, and then that quest gives you a reward, which is raid gear. I'm sorry, but I think that it's basically the same thing. In WoD right now, you have to do something with your followers. Your followers have to perform a task in order for you to receive a piece of gear. And in Legion, your followers have to perform a task in order for you to receive a piece of gear. Just because there's the intermediary of the quest, it doesn't make a difference. It's still the same thing. And so I'm very disappointed in that, and, hopefully they will change it. Hopefully the little follower mission that they have you do is going to be just, really simple, and it won't take, basically having to, in a way, beat the whole mini-game of follower missions like it did in Warlords of Draenor. So that was pretty disappointing. We also talked about the research that you can do. There's, little research trees that you have, and basically it's a little, it's like a one or the other. Right? And so you can either pick one side of the research tree or the other one, and there's 5 levels of it. And then at the bottom, that's going to allow you to get a second, because right now in Legion, at the beginning of the expansion, you're only going to be able to equip one legendary Legion item, and if you finish the bottom tier of your research, that allows you to equip a second Legion legendary. So doing this research is very, very important, and I think the research is a good idea. It allows people to kind of have a second level of player progression, and the research is, to the best of my knowledge, not really tied to any sort of follower mission or anything like that. So it's not like you have to do follower missions to get this done. You just spend order hall resources, and order hall resources, for those that don't know, hopefully more of you guys will on Thursday, is you will be able to get order hall resources from your world quests, and you'll also be able to get them from some follower quests, but that's not really the main thing. mostly it's world quests. It's not like there's a box that just accumulates and you have to wait a certain amount of days. So you can kind of control it a lot more, and I think that's a good thing. And then the next thing that they talked about was legacy servers. And basically Ian used the phrase, and I might be a little bit paraphrasing here, but this is pretty much what he said, is that making the decision on legacy servers is outside of his pay grade. So that means that he doesn't really make the call on legacy servers. Now, I think that that is partially true, but I also think that's pretty much like him saying, I don't really want to talk about this, and I don't really have anything else to add. And that's pretty much what they said. They're at no different point now than they were whenever they made the statement, the J. Allen Brack statement about pristine servers. So I know that was really disappointing for a lot of people, including myself, but personally, I don't really see us getting any sort of new information about legacy servers until BlizzCon. So that's pretty much how it's going to be. Now, the next thing that they talked about was leveling, and pretty much Ian said that they wanted to make leveling progressively easier throughout the expansions to give people pretty much like an easier way to level up to the max level and play with their friends. But now, since the boost is available, which I'm not really a big fan of the boost, but now that the boost is available, there's not really a need for that to happen. And by the way, if this fucking chair keeps squeaking, I'm going to throw it out the goddamn window. But I do hope that it doesn't actually bother you guys with the sound. So anyway, the leveling process is very, very easy now, and Ian did say that it is a little bit too easy, and I think that he said that heirlooms were for degenerates. I'm not really sure if that was what I heard, but I think that's what I heard. If he did, that's actually really funny. But I don't know if he said that or not. But anyway, that was pretty cool, and I was glad to hear that. So I do hope that they make leveling more engaging and more rewarding. But ultimately, I don't really think it's going to make too much of a difference if the end goal in leveling is getting up to max level, and the max level was not rewarding enough to make leveling much harder and make it still feel like you're working towards something. Talked a little bit about Demon Hunters. Jesse thought that they had 3 jumps. Joke's on you, Jesse. They only got 2. That's pretty much all I gotta say about Demon Hunters. I think they're really cool. I've never played them. I just see them hopping around all over the place with the Warglaives and like wings and shit. They look really cool. I haven't played them yet, but I think I'll probably give it a chance whenever the beta comes out. Now, the next thing is they talked about artifact weapons and how artifact weapons will potentially be more rewarding because of the different appearances that you're going to be able to unlock. If you guys don't know, so like you start out with like your base artifact weapon appearance, and then you can get all of these different types of appearances. Some of the appearances are unlocked through PvP, like getting prestige level 1, 2, 3, I think it's like 5 and 7. And then other ones are unlocked through doing the Mythic Plus dungeons that we'll talk about in just a minute. Other ones are unlocked through doing the class order halls. And so just in general, like the cooler appearances are more difficult to get. And there are also, one thing that I thought was really cool, is that there are also going to be hidden appearances that you can find out in the world in different ways that aren't necessarily, they don't really tell you where to go. It's just, I think people will kind of figure that out in the first like month or two of the expansion being released, or maybe probably depending on if they already bring them out in beta, people will probably figure it out by then. But if they don't, people will probably figure it out. It'll take people probably kind of a while to figure out where all of the hidden appearances are. I think that's really, really cool. I think the hidden appearances are really fun for people. For somebody who's always looking stuff up and figuring it out as soon as it comes out, yeah, for me, it's just going to be go over there and get the thing, and it's not going to be a big deal. But for other people, I do think that they are going to get a lot out of this. Now, the next thing is they did talk about dungeons and Mythic Plus. Now, Mythic Plus is the kind of replacement for challenge modes, and it allows you to scale up the dungeon, to make it progressively harder and harder. And I think this is going to be a pretty cool thing. Personally, I don't like the way they send out the... I'll talk about that in a minute, but I do want to talk about the affixes. Now, the Mythic Plus... I guess like the paradigm and the way it works out is pretty much the exact same as Greater Rifts in Diablo 3. You get a keystone, and then whenever you complete a Greater Rift, or not a Greater Rift, a Mythic Plus dungeon, you're able to upgrade your keystone, and if you complete it within the allotted time. You do get your loot no matter what, but if you complete it within the allotted time, you can upgrade your keystone to the next level, and that's going to allow you to do basically the same thing over and over again, and so it's kind of like a progression in that way. I think it's very cool. So anyway, there are also going to be affixes that are going to be available each week. The affixes are set timers, I guess. like 1 week the affixes are going to be like two of them are like, let's say one is the bosses have a lot more health and they do more damage, and the other one is that there are a lot more trash mobs in the instance. So 1 week those two affixes are available, and so that doesn't mean like on Monday that they're available or the keystones have anything to do with the affixes. The affixes are global, and so I think that is a good idea, and they're trying to do that to prevent people from getting like for people to just figure out like what the best group is. Now it's very similar to like Mists of Pandaria challenge modes, where obviously Monk Tank, Discipline Priest, Healer, Frost Mage, DPS, and Elemental Shaman, I believe, and I don't remember what the fifth one was, maybe like a Death Knight or something like that. But it was a very, very set in stone, type that you would want to have just to make sure that you had all of the best options available, and that was like the best comp. And so the affixes rotating and like being all these different affixes are hopefully going to make it to where, each different group comp would potentially be stronger. Like a very AoE, strong group would be stronger, obviously, whenever the affix was having more trash mobs, and a stronger like a boss damage group would be stronger whenever they had the affix that would give the bosses more health, because obviously comparatively they would be, being able to pull ahead a little bit more. So I do think that's a good idea, but I think that for the 99% this is going to work. For the 1%, I still think that there is going to be a best. There's still going to be the two easiest affixes, and then in the two easiest affixes, there's going to be the best comp to deal with those two easiest affixes, and that's going to be the best comp. So it's still going to kind of come down to the same thing, but it's going to take a lot longer for that to happen. Now, also, they do have the way that you get your loot from these mythic dungeons. So, all right, this is the way it works. Pretty much like you do your challenge, your mythic dungeons, and the highest level of your mythic dungeon for that previous week, the next week you come in and you have a box in your class hall, and that box has gear in it that's equivalent to pretty much like the higher challenge mode that you clear, the better gear you get. It's very simple. I don't really like this because it's another RNG box. Like, here's how it's going to be. It's like you bust your ass. You spend all day, every single day, pushing for higher and higher Mythic Plus dungeons, and you go to bed late, and you wake up early on Tuesday afternoon, because maintenance might take a little bit longer, and you go to your class hall, and you see this big, shiny, huge fucking chest, and it's got like sparkles coming out of it, like a gold pillar coming out of it, and you open up the box, and it's a level 900 haste versatility helmet. I'm not going to be very happy if that happens to me, and I don't think anybody is. I would like to have at least some control over what the items that I get from the box are. I don't know if that's going to happen. I have no idea. But just giving people a lot of random rolls, and especially for something you have to wait a week to get, you have to wait a week to fucking get this, and then you wait all week, you bust your ass, and then it's a piece of shit. Like, I'm not gonna like that. So that's the only real thing that I don't like about the Mythic Plus dungeons. Everything else I think is going to be pretty great. So that's pretty much what was went over in the Legion developer update. So really, guys, some people were kind of upset. They were mad that they didn't talk about legacy servers too much. And, of course, Twitch chat was doing their best, because everybody knows if you spam legacy in chat long enough, they're going to have to add vanilla servers. So keep it up, guys. You're doing a really good job. And, I do hope that they add them. But, I don't really think that doing that is going to matter. Like, let's be real. So the next thing that people got mad about is that there were no hard questions for Ian. And that's because, this is a commercial, basically, for Legion. Like, we all just watched a commercial for Legion. Like, come on, guys, get real. So, of course, they're not going to talk about a lot of the shortcomings in the expansion or things that they're not really sure about or anything like that. They want to talk about what's going to be really, really great, like the world quest system and everything else like that. And they don't really want to focus too much on, things that could be potentially painted in a negative light. The same with the legacy servers. And so that's why it was pretty much kind of, they kind of sidestepped the whole question with, oh, it's outside of my pay grade, that's it. And, people upset that Jesse didn't ask the hard questions. The way they do these, by the way, is that you pretty much, like, I don't know if they give Jesse the questions that they want him to ask, or he works with the CM for that. But basically, like, let's say Jesse writes the questions, then he gives them to the Blizzard devs, and they decide which ones they're going to answer. And so it's not like you really even have a chance to ask the controversial questions unless you want to go off script, and obviously that would be very, very unprofessional. So it's not really a surprise why there were no controversial questions asked, and that's just the way it's going to go. Obviously, of course, we all would want to hear that, but it's not really a surprise that we didn't. So, guys, I think that the Legion developer update was great. I'm happy that they're talking to us. If they did one of these every week, I'd be fucking thrilled. But I think that the chances of that happening are basically zero. So anyway, guys, you can check it out yourselves on the I think it's twitch.tv/Warcraft, and also I kind of like played the audio of it and watched it on my stream, twitch.tv/Asmongold. Make sure to follow. And so that's pretty much all I've got. I thought that they talked about some important things, nothing really too new. I didn't really expect any like real new things to happen. I pretty much expected just the beta announcement. I didn't expect it so soon. So I guess like whenever it all comes down to it, Ian killed Swag Donalds. There's going to be no legacy servers, at least not until for the immediate future. And heirlooms are for degenerates. So I'm a degenerate. So pretty much what I expected. Anyway, guys, that's pretty much all I got. So let me know if you watched it. Let me know what you think. But that's pretty much what I think. That's pretty much it. So thank you for watching, and like, comment, and subscribe.